Hi there. Nice spring morning, and hopefully we've seen the last of the snow. It's early March at the moment, so I'm hoping the snow has gone now. Now, I am looking forward to a year of wild camping adventures, perhaps the odd train trip, bit of underground exploring, who knows, but I think it'll be a good year. Now I suppose the wild camping, that's my favourite, that's what I really enjoy doing. And I do like to give my videos a bit of a theme, whether it's the location you're going to camp, the fact you're just going to cook on this one, or perhaps the extreme weather conditions you're going to sleep in. I like to have a theme and try and do something different, but I do struggle to find something different, so that's what I've been looking for, a different type of wild camping. Also, with all this bad weather, I need an indoor project as well. I need something to make, something perhaps to do with wild camping that I can make at home when it's raining outside. Well, I think I've found the very thing. Follow me. Now Sheffield, where I live, has got more trees per person than any other city in Europe. It's one of the greenest cities. So, with all those trees and me looking for a new wild camping challenge, well, they go together, don't they? Why didn't I think of it earlier? Tree camping! That's it, isn't it? Tree camping, that is going to be my new wild camping adventure. It's basically wild camping, but up in a tree. It's also, I think, a way of convincing myself I'm not getting old. If I can still climb trees, I can't be getting old. That's what I think anyway. Now, tree camping does throw up quite a few problems, challenges, let's call them challenges. Definitely throws up a few challenges. One of them, obvious one, getting up into the tree to start with. Well, I will cover that in a separate video. This video is basically just about the kit you would use to camp up in the tree. Once you've got up there, that is, of course. Now, I have done a lot of research on the internet into the different types of equipment you could use to sleep in a tree. Now, the obvious one is a simple hammock used by many fellow YouTubers. Thing about it, it doesn't look too comfortable, looks like it could crush your shoulders a bit. And I'm not sure how stable that would be 30 foot up in a tree and also lashed to two adjacent branches. Another item of equipment I looked at is called the mosquito bat hammock. It's similar to a hammock. It's got one advantage. It's a single point fixing with like a pole framework round the top of the hammock. But again, not so comfortable, and I have read and looked at various reviews. I think the poles have a habit of falling out once you're moving about in it. But a possibility. It's also made in United States. Another piece of kit is the tree boat. That looked reasonable. Again, I think it's a hammock with a framework. But you do need two adjacent branches to fasten it to. It's not single point fixing. And again, it's made in the United States of America. And as I've found to my cost in the past, the postage from there for anything is about £60+ for something like a hammock. So, I found another item of kit and that is the Portaledge. Now these are used a lot in America on the big wall climbs, the multi-day climbs, where you're going to sleep for several nights on a climb. It basically consists of a framework with a bed material supported by webbing, and it's a single point fixing. So you end up with a nice level platform to sleep on, and it does appear to be the most comfortable piece of kit to sleep in a tree or on a climb. So I decided that was the way to go. I then looked at the price of them. They start at about £400 for a simple basic single one, and go up to £800. So I thought, well, that's out of my price range, that's far too much. So I came up with the idea, I know, I'll make one. We've had a bit of rubbish weather and I need an indoor project. So I thought, that's the way to go. I'm going to build my own. And it'll be interesting, I'll learn a lot. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to build my own. Now, building a Portaledge is a really interesting project. It incorporates so many skills. There's your designing skills, which I've already done. There's the material side. You've got to acquire all your materials, and that is not easy. Some are from the UK, some are from abroad. Then there's the metalwork side of things. There's an aluminium framework to build, so that'll involve your metalwork skills. And then finally there's all the fabric and all the webbing suspension system. That'll involve a lot of sewing, an awful lot of sewing, but luckily I've been having a lot of practice recently, so we should be okay there. There's so much to it, I'm going to have to split it over 2 videos. This first video will cover the introduction to tree camping, and then we'll go straight into building the framework. The second video, which will follow later on, will cover the fabric side of things, all the webbing suspension and the sewing. So that'll follow on at a later date. So we'll head back to the garage now at home and we'll make a start on the framework. Hello again. I'm in my garage ready to make a start at building this Portaledge. Now the first thing I did was come up with my own design. So I spent ages looking at the different designs available. There's probably only 4 to 6 Portaledge manufacturers, and most of those are in the United States. So what I did, I looked at the different designs, and then I came up with my own design which will suit my needs better. So hopefully at the end of the video I will put these designs up. So having got my designs, it was a matter of sourcing the materials, and that was harder than I thought. It took me an awful long time to search through to find the materials at a reasonable price. Which country was I going to get them from, where were they available? So eventually I did get everything ordered. Now the main frame of the Portaledge is made of aluminium tubing, and I ordered that yesterday, and to my great surprise it arrived today. So this arrived today. So that's the tubing that is going to form the frame of the Portaledge. But the bit I were after was this. So the tubing can be put on one side. We'll look at that another day. This is a piece of solid aluminium bar. Now like I say, we've got a framework of tubing. I needed 4 corner blocks drilled to take the tube in. and that's what this is for. Now I haven't got the tools or machinery to drill to take the tube in, so I came up with these drawings of my design of the corner pieces. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to find a local engineering firm, take me drawings and the piece of aluminium bar and get him to make me the four corner pieces up. Might take a couple of weeks that, and hopefully by then the rest of my materials should have arrived through the post, and then we can make a proper start and get on and build the portaledge. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks then. Bye then. Right, back again. That bit didn't go to plan. I took my aluminium block to a couple of engineering works in Sheffield, asked them how much would it be, had my drawings with me, to make me 4 blocks, all drilled, all the edges chamfered and all cleaned up. I come back at £50 a piece, so that would have been £200 just for the corner blocks. That's far too expensive. I'm supposed to be doing it cheaply, and then I thought, well, I am supposed to be building it myself, so it defeats the object if I let somebody do all that work for me. So I thought, well, the only bit I can't do was the drilling of the 1 1/4 inch holes. So I asked him how much to drill me the holes in all 4 blocks if I cut them, and he said £20 for all 4. So I thought, well, that's not bad, that's the only bit I can't do, 20 quid into fortune. So I've cut myself 4 80mm pieces of block. I've had the holes now drilled, did it in a few days, quick turnaround. So all I've got to do myself now is basically chamfer all the edges, get everything cleaned up so they're a bit smoother, have no sharp edges. I also wanted to reduce the weight a bit. So what I'm doing, I'm removing the bulk of it with a hacksaw and then using an angle grinder to finish it, to clean up, and also to round the edges off and to polish it up a bit. So I'm going to get on and get these blocks finished off now. Right, I'm going to clean these up with the angle grinder outside. Tends to send bits all over the place. Do you like this little bench? I made that about 30 years ago, and basically I always had a project. I always was building something, but I was at work a lot of the time. So I used to put this in my boot, take whatever I wanted to drill or to grind or to cut with me, and any lay-by you could pull up, get this out, put an inverter on your car battery, run your electric drill, your grinder, whatever. It's surprising what you can build in a car park or a lay-by when you're at work. Anyway, we'll get on and get these cleaned up. I got all 4 corner blocks finished yesterday. In the end I used a sanding disc in the angle grinder and cleaned them up, smoothed them off and polished them with that. Brought it up to a acceptable finish. At the end of the day, it's only a bit of camping gear. You don't have to be perfectly polished or anything like that. So the next stage now is to start and build the framework. To build the framework, I'm using this aluminium tubing. Now I was brought up originally in feet and inches, then in metric. So I do work in both of them. You will find me talking in inches and millimetres at the same time. It was a bit confusing when I was buying the pipe, or the tube should I say. A lot of my ideas came from America and they work in inches, so they'd call this 1 1/4 inch. More confusing, they work in a decimal point of an inch for the wall thickness. So this was something like 0.064 of an inch wall thickness. In the UK we'd call it 31.8 millimetre outer wall, and the wall thickness is 1.6 milli. Or sometimes they go to a standard wire gauge, and that will be 16 standard wire gauge. They will stick with millimetres and inches. So that is 31.8 millimetres. That's what the frame's going to be built of. I want to be able to break it down into 3 pieces, the sides. So I bought this tubing. I think this is 28.6, and that fits lovely inside there. So I'm going to use this piece to make some joiners to connect the outer pipe and to reinforce the ends where they go into the blocks. So that's the pipe work. Tube as it's known. So I'm going to build my portaledge to a comfortable single. I looked at the measurements of all the manufacturers, and I've come on where I'm going to have mine 34 inches wide and 84 inches long, and like I say, I want everything to collapse down, so the longest piece is 34 inch, so it can all be folded up and put into a bag. I might at some stage be able to link everything together with shock cording, so you can just take it out and clip it all together. We'll have to see how we go with that later on in the build. So I'm going to get on and cut some pipe now and start building the sides up. Going to make a start at getting all the tubing cut now. So I need 4 pieces, 75 centimetres. Just using this pipe clip so I can mark squarely around the pipe. That's all 8 pieces of tube cut now. Sort of slotted it into the corner blocks, and it's laid out roughly as it's going to look. Now these inner pieces of tube are going to be used as joining pieces. I've cut these smaller pieces, they slide in. So that will become like a joining piece. To hold these inner tubes in place, I'm going to pop rivet them in, and then that is more or less the same. If I've worked it out right, it's the same dimension as the width, so it'll all pack down easily. So I'll get on and get these pop riveted in now. So I'm going to go on and get this inner sleeve riveted in. Now I know it needs to stick out 11 centimetres. So I've marked that on, positioned it there. Let's move it into the vise. So I'll just mark the position of the rivets. So just gonna gently punch them for the drill, but only lightly. I don't want to distort the aluminium. So I'm using 4mm rivets. Now a nice pillar drill would be useful, but I haven't got one of those, so I'll have to use a hand drill. Just going to get these rivets in now. And it's the first one in. And now for the second one. So that's the two rivets in, and it makes a nice, neat job. I'm just cleaning up these inner sleeves just so they locate in the outer pipe a bit more smoothly. Just using different grades of emery paper cut into strips. If they do start snagging, you can always clean them up a bit more. Might put a bit of Vaseline on, something like that. The aluminium does have a tendency to bind. I've also round or chamfered that edge there so it'll locate better. This is the last bit of work on the aluminium frame. Imagine this tubing entering the block there, so you could say there's a possible weak spot where it enters. So I've decided to reinforce them with some little pieces of inner tube, similar to what we did on the interconnectors. So I've made up 8 of these. Using a file, I've got rid of the sharp edges on both sides. Cleaned them up with a bit of emery so they're nice and smooth. They locate inside, and then the aluminium block then goes on the outside. I've cleaned the edges up there, so if I do shock cord everything, it's not going to damage the shock cording. So all I've got to do, put a pop rivet in there, and that'll hold that in place, and that's basically the aluminium framework complete then. Framework's completed now. As you can see, it feels quite solid. One thing I should mention, these 2 end pieces of tube I've left 1 inch oversize. When I've sewn the fabric round, I want it to be really tight, and it will be easier to say adjust the length of that tubing by cutting 1/2 inch off than adjusting my stitching and that. So that's the reason I've left those oversized, and I'll complete that bit at the end. Now, have I learnt anything? Well, yes, I have. The corner blocks are made out of 50mm aluminium block. I ought to have made them out of 45mm. It would have avoided me doing all that chamfering, and they would have been lighter. I could have actually made a whole framework out of 1 1/8 tubing, and then done the corner blocks out of 40mm square block. That would have been even lighter. A lot of the commercial ones that are manufactured are 1 1/8 tubing. They also have a spreader bar fitted across here to make it a bit more rigid in the centre. But a lot of people have complained that if the fabric stretches, you get that spreader bar right in the middle of your back. So I'm hoping by using the 1 1/4 inch tubing, I've done away with the spreader bar. Just have to see. Like I say, it is my own design. At the end of the day, I'm not climbing up any big walls or anything like that. I'm going to be using it for tree camping in my local area. And as I build it, I'm sort of learning as I build it. So I'm going to swing the camera around now and just show you, give you an introduction to the next stage. Now the next stage, which will be in a separate video, will cover fitting out the base material and all the webbing suspension straps. Obviously that will require a lot of sewing, which I'm looking forward to doing, and I'll be using this semi-industrial sewing machine behind me. It's a 1963 Singer 188K. I did a video on it about a month ago. Because it was too fast at first, I had to carry out some modifications to slow it down and make it more controllable. Now I'm just waiting delivery of some of the fabric and webbing, and once I've got that, I'll get on and complete the portaledge. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye then.